Okay, I've loaded our flower image back in because I just want to show you the history brush and the art history brush, which are pretty neat. And what I'm going to do is just pull this out just a little. And the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and invert our image by hitting Control I. And now we can see in the history it has invert on there. And what I'm going to do is select this little tab that we have in our history panel next to open. And we can see that we have this little brush show up, which is the exact same as our history brush. So with our history brush selected, I'm just going to adjust our diameter, and I'm just going to start painting in areas of the image. And as you can see, what it's doing is it's painting in that state that we were in previously when we opened it before we inverted. So now it's returning it back to its original state. And you can see we get a gray area around that, and that's because of the fade that we have. When colors start to reach their center between each other with the invert, we end up with gray. But that's why we have that little bit of a rim around there. But we can do this with pretty much anything. If I go back before we did any of this and add a filter, we're going to get the same type of effect. So I'm going to go to Filter, and let's do a glass distortion. And click OK. And now with the art history, or the history brush, selecting on Open, I can go in here and paint it and return it back to its original state. So now I'm just doing the flowers right now, but the rest of the image is still has that glass filter on it. So it's a neat way to kind of go back and correct certain things you did, or another way to really go in and edit how you use some filters and brushes and different states that you're working with in the photo. And another thing we have is the art history brush, which is an very interesting brush. I'll just go ahead and start painting with it right away. And you can see we get random dabs just about everywhere. I'll go ahead and select just a simple brush. And you can see it's grabbing random flecks from that history palette. The more I bring it down, and this is scattering it around quite a bit, but it gives a really neat effect. It really depends on also where this is selected back on open. We could also do it on glass and bring that around. And then we also have different styles that we can paint with. The art history brush, we can have the affected area, and then of course the tolerance we can always change. So there's a lot you can do with it to kind of get different types of effects. So the art history brush is really neat. And we can also change even the mode we have. We can use darken or lighten. We also have hue, saturation, things like that in there. So right now we're just affecting the saturation with our art history brush. So it's a neat little tool you can use to do some corrections in certain parts in the scene or in your images that you're editing.